And we are live. Let's get the link out. I didn't put any music this time because it seems like no matter how much I lower it, it's just too loud.
Yeah, I was going to tell you that too. A couple of our listeners like the music's way too loud. It like drowns us out.
I had it down to 5. Like I kind of felt like there's no way it could be too loud. But I digress. Let's get the links here.
Yeah, we don't need the music anyway.
No, because we got plenty of shit to talk about today. Plenty of shite.
It's been a big week.
It's been a huge week.
Yeah.
Huge week. We got 2 people in watching already.
Nice.
Wait, do I even need to put the link out if we're live on Facebook anyway? In the Facebook group anyway.
It went automatic. I already got the notifications.
What am I, an asshole?
We're good, bro. We're up and running.
Asshole?
What am I, a freaking asshole? Well, all right then. We are live. Welcome. Thank you guys for taking some time. You guys have been live streaming like crazy the last few days.
Yep.
So much happening. The Royal Rumble. So before we get into all the the DC stuff and the Last of Us, which is the bread and butter of today, of right now, I got to ask you guys, as the wrestling fans, are you happy with the shit that went down over the weekend? Facebook user, hey. I got to get on Facebook and see who that is.
Jennifer Rivera.
Oh, hi, Jennifer. Thanks for watching.
Well, Jen.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
We're gonna spoil The Last of Us if you want to watch it, but if you want to just hang out, just hang out.
What's up,
Butters? Yeah, go ahead, Zuplex. You start us off.
The
Rumble
was,
the Rumble and everything.
You know, we were a little bit mixed on the Rumble. I came in at an 8.7. I think Fred was an 8.2. Some really great moments, some really not so great moments. Storylines got advanced, but it wasn't really what we were all looking for. So we got to wait and see, though. It is a good start, I think, to the road to WrestleMania, which is where we're on right now. So,
and what about you, Scythe? What are you thinking?
I agree with Zuplex. It wasn't exactly what we were looking for. However, it did have great matches. It definitely gave us a storyline twist that is going to be fun to explore all the way to WrestleMania. My biggest issue with the Rumble was it was secondary to everything else going on. And that should never be the case for the Royal Rumble. That should always be the main attraction.
Well, that's actually a good point. I haven't watched the Royal Rumble in forever. Butters was at the Rumble, and I imagine being there was a phenomenal experience. I'm sure. Even if the Rumble was disappointing, I'm sure it was a phenomenal experience.
We really missed you on the live stream too, bud. We wanted you in there with us, giving us like the outside of wrestling perspective.
We're gonna have to do a very specific, a very special interview with Butters. You're gonna have to walk us through your entire day at the Royal Rumble. I don't remember the last time I've been to like a wrestling event like live. I mean, I was a kid, maybe a teenager. It was the oldest. So I'm not a huge wrestling fan these days.
I think you're gonna have to live stream Elimination Chamber with us when we do that.
I don't know.
Get you back into this, bud.
I don't know if I have time, man. How am I supposed to have time to watch all the movies and shows if I'm watching 16 hours of wrestling every week?
I do.
It feels like it's on all the time. You watch the shows, but you don't play the games. You play Call of Duty. I like to play games too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Anyway.
Speaking of playing games.
Did you guys, I guess you guys talked probably in detail, right? If anybody missed it, there's a couple of streams that these guys did about the reaction to the Rumble, the kind of aftermath of the Rumble, the Raw reaction. So if you really want any of their opinions, there's plenty of footage out there about those opinions. And keep an eye out too if you have any on the TikTok and Instagrams and stuff, because I'm going to be taking clips and putting them up there too. So you'll get it. You'll figure out what they thought. But let's see. We had The Last of Us episode 3 this weekend, which was really unbelievable. And then today was the big day for all the DC fans out there. The Gods and Monsters DC Studios Chapter 1 was announced. We'll get into that in more detail. Secondly, let's talk about The Last of Us first. So I'm assuming both of you guys watched it?
Absolutely.
Let me pull up an image of the man, the myth, the legend that honestly completely stole the show this weekend. Nick Offerman absolutely obliterated his role as Bill. I was blown away. I mean, listen, we all knew he could be funny. We all knew he could act, but I mean, he tugged at the heartstrings better than anyone I've ever seen in my life. Such a phenomenal. I give the episode a 10 out of 10. I feel like I'm 3 in a row now with basically saying it's a perfect episode.
But so here's my problem.
You went first before. Let's Scythe go first now. Come on. Let's be fair. Let's be fair. Scythe, what do you think about The Last of Us episode 3?
Overall, it was a strong episode. Nick Offerman killed it. I forget who the actor was. That was Frank, but he killed it as well. What was it?
Murray Bartlett or Bartlett. That's how you say his name.
Murray Bartlett. All right. They both did a phenomenal job, and it was just basically the two of them the whole episode. And it like you said, it pulled at the heartstrings. It's not a perfect episode to me though, because how it deviated from the game is not what I wanted to see. It's not what I was expecting from a Bill episode.
Okay.
But overall, the episode was great. And I loved that they incorporated his traps.
Yes.
Like you got the experience in the game. It was front and center in this episode.
Well, what about, all right, so Zuplex, what did you think?
All right, so this episode alone, standing alone on its own, should probably win the show an Emmy, if not a Golden Globe.
Totally agree.
The acting in this episode is absolutely a clinic on how to do like an emotional love story in a post-apocalyptic world, right?
It
Absolutely.
should be what they use for teaching at an acting school, because it was a master class.
Hell yeah.
It was a master class on it. Here's my problem with this episode. In an overall, as an episode by itself, it's one of the most emotional, greatest episodes of television I've ever seen in my life. In an overall story for the series of Last of Us, this episode meant absolutely nothing. And that's the problem with it.
See, that's wrong though.
Yeah.
It's
He's not wrong.
It's a bottle episode where they killed off both Bill and Frank at the end of it.
Yep.
And now there's nowhere to go with this story whatsoever. So in the overall story of Last of Us, whether or not anything happens in this episode, the story of Last of Us is not affected in any way, shape, or form.
But that's not true. The whole point of this episode
That's the problem with this episode.
No, but the whole point of this episode was to finally give him the push to commit to saving Ellie and protecting her and bringing her to where
it was going to happen regardless. That was going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
No, his whole mission was to bring her to Frank and Bill. That was his mission. And then he was leaving. That's
okay,
it.
but my
the
point
whole point of this episode was
if
the
he
letter.
Frank or Bill was going to tell Joel to go take her anyway. So
hold on. You think Frank from this episode would have been like, "Nah, I'm not dealing with her." Frank absolutely would have stepped up to try and save her life.
Maybe. But he wouldn't be able to because he had cancer.
Right, so he would have turned to Bill because Frank's not going to let someone, a kid in particular, just basically be on her own. So he would have turned to Bill and been like, "Bro, we got to do this." Right. And Bill, loving Frank, would have absolutely said yes.
And Bill would turn around and be like, "I'm too old to do this, so Joel, you have to take her." So any way you look at it, this is Indiana Jones.
Joel wouldn't have listened though. I don't think so. I felt like the whole purpose of this episode. No, I don't think he would have listened. I think he would have said, "No, I'm not doing it. We'll go back to the quarantine zone."
And also, bro, your logic is flawed because in the second episode, the sacrifice of Tess is what makes Joel
bring Ellie to Bill and Frank.
Bring Bill and Frank. But regardless of that,
Bill and Frank, yes.
Once that happens with Tess, Joel knows that he's got to be in charge of this kid. Now, just because Bill and Frank aren't there anymore, now he's got to take him to the brother. But at the end of the day. This episode in the overall story means absolutely nothing.
It's
a mistake.
I agree with Zuplex here. like I was saying, like we've all been saying, the episode alone was fantastic, masterclass acting. 100%. This episode was meaningless to the overall story. I feel
like was, you both missed the point.
Nah, the point was to get to Bill and Frank, and when they got there, they were dead. So there was no point of going there to begin with.
Well, they got supplies out of it. They got a truck. They got a battery.
They could have found supplies anywhere. They could have found supplies anywhere.
Then why did you have to go to Bill and Frank's if you could have found supplies anywhere? They clearly.
Well, what I'm saying is,
they may not have done a great job explaining it. But
they were part of the Fireflies, or he was an ex-Firefly, or whatever it was. Like, no, the mission was to get to them. And just that,
or a supplier
in the game, we got to see Bill, because Frank was already dead in the game. Right. If you didn't know Zuplex, I don't know if you got that far, but
it's about where I ended. Yeah,
with Joel and Ellie, we got to see Bill interact with them, and you get to see Ellie and Bill have the tension, and like Bill not wanting to do anything with Ellie and not giving shit about her and get off my property, basically get off my lawn type of old man.
Yeah.
And we didn't get any of that. They showed up, they read a letter, and they're like, all right, well, we'll take the truck and get out of here. Like it was so pointless. It was a great episode for the two of them, but for the overall story, like Zuplex said, it meant nothing to Joel and Ellie, which is the main part of the show.
I don't think. See, I think I took it as the whole point was it was a build up to that letter, because it was basically Bill explaining to Joel that our role in this world is protect who we love, and until we do that, we can't leave. And it was almost like, to me, it was almost like Joel's wake up call that he doesn't have to just, Ellie's not just cargo; she's a person that he needs to protect. So
my point is,
that would have felt more impactful if they met Bill and Frank, and Bill was like, "Listen, this dude is dying. I can't leave him. It's up to you to take her. We can't do anything for you." That would have been more impactful.
Or Frank had died, and Bill was like, "I just lost Frank. Like, you need to take her. You need to do this. I'm going with you." And we get more Nick Offerman in this amazing role.
Well,
right?
I wouldn't have minded that, because Nick Offerman was just really just unbelievable. Yeah. So I was hoping they kept him around and gave us more of his character.
To have them both kind of die, and for their compound to just be like a stopgap on the overall story, it just did a disservice to the amazing episode that we got. Like that's my problem with it. And the episode was like
the game, though. In the game, there was the only purpose of seeing Bill. Well, you don't even go to meet Bill. You actually are going to Tommy's, and you happen to run into Bill. It's not it's just a random spot that you stop at.
But you get that interaction, and where the show deviated, they took that interaction from us.
Yeah, I guess I didn't. I don't miss that, not having that interaction as much as you might. I didn't think it mattered so much. I think I enjoyed the episode enough where it did its job.
It would have been fun banter to see between them, because
Bill
being so grumpy as is, and then with possibly the loss of Frank, he's not going to want to talk to fucking anybody. He's going to want to be by himself and die on his own, basically.
You think we get more flashbacks maybe and we get more Frank and Bill in future episodes?
No, I don't think we'll get more Frank and Bill. I think their stories. We told their entire story. What more is there to tell?
Yeah, they were one and done.
I mean, it'd be cool. I feel like I agree. I think we're not going to see him again, but it would have been cool if we did get some more flashbacks to Bill as like the lone survivor fighting off raiders. Because he didn't just have one encounter with raiders and one encounter with zombies. Yeah, but he definitely had multiple times. They
kind of told that entire story though. So it's like, see, my problem with this is at the end of the day. And like, listen, we're all in agreement. The acting in this episode was absolutely phenomenal. I'm not hating on the episode at all or anything like that. But at the end of the day, this felt like a filler episode.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, every show has filler episodes. So that's normal. For
you to have a filler episode that was that impactful is kind of a loss in my eyes. Because it shouldn't have been a filler
I just don't agree.
Episode.
I can't agree. I loved it. And I feel like it served its purpose. That's just my opinion. you know.
I got to go back to your 10 out of 10 thing because every episode's been a 10 out of 10. So are you saying
every
that
episode's
this
been perfect?
All right, hold on a second. Are you saying that this episode, was it better or worse than the first episode?
Better than the first episode.
Okay, so then how are they both a 10 out of 10?
Because you can't go higher than 10.
This is where your logic is flawed.
This is why you never give a 10.
There's no logic.
Never give a 10.
Every episode is just getting better and better. So you know what? If that's the case, then episode 1 was a 10 out of 10. Episode 2 raised the bar. So that makes episode 1 a 9 out of 10, episode 2 a 10 out of 10. And then episode 3 raised the bar even more. So now episode 1 and 2 are 9 out of 10s. This one's a 10 out of 10. Episode 4 might raise the bar. That knocks this one down a peg and the other one up, you know? I'm calling it right now. The entire season is going to be 10 out of 10s. Every single episode. I'm giving them all. I'm already like.
You got to start looking at this with more of a critical eye, bud. I love you, but you are.
I'm being critical. You know, I'm always critical about everything.
You are a Last of Us fan right now. It is hysterical.
Oh,
like,
I'm 100%.
No, but here's the thing. I am too, and that episode wasn't a 10 out of 10 episode. It was a fantastic episode, but it wasn't a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I mean, we don't all have to have the same grades, but I have no problems with any of it. Anything I've seen so far, any of the decisions they've made, any of the deviations.
Episode 4 hasn't released yet. It's already a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. I'm giving the finale a 20 out of 10. I'm just gonna put it on out there now. The finale is gonna be phenomenal.
What I did love about this episode was like the first 10 minutes when we got Joel and Ellie.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say what you didn't love or what you did love?
What I did love when we got Joel and Ellie in the beginning. It just, I love how they capture the feeling of the video game. You just see them traversing like their, the paths and roads and trails, and they're just making their way through. Ellie gets her first kill.
That was a big
zombie kill. First of all, why is she going in a dark hole by herself? I don't know.
I think I don't know if you saw my reaction on TikTok. I'm like, I don't know if I would be exploring a pitch black hole in a random gas station. Like, something's gonna be down there.
Exactly. But when they go into the store and you just see all the shelves, run down, rusty, empty, you see the tiles falling from the ceiling. Yep. Like, it just felt like I was moving the characters myself with the controller. It just looked and felt so authentic, and I can't get enough of that. I'm excited that it seems like episode 4 is going to be more of that. Just Joel and Ellie.
Well, we're getting a big moment,
exploring.
right? One of the cooler moments from the game is going to be happening in episode 4. It seems like, and I'm excited for that for sure. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't gotten that far in the game, but it should be a pretty action-packed episode. I'll just kind of throw that out there.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say. One of the things the show is doing so well is it's making scavenging and the parts of video games feel purposeful and have tension in a show, which no other show has been able to do.
Forced. Well, I feel like The Walking Dead did that for a little bit, but then it's like every episode they had to go find more supplies, and it was just like
this is exactly what Resident Evil needs to do. Is gathering supplies and finding clues.
This is what I'm saying.
It needs to be like this.
You guys who I know, but I don't think it was you guys. I was arguing with somebody. They were like, "Oh, you're telling me a whole season of them searching the mansion would be exciting?" And I'm like,
"That was Zuplex.
That was definitely me."
Oh yeah. So like this show is you see them scavenging, and I'm kind of interested every single time they go into a new building. That's the same kind of feeling we can have.
Yes, if it's done exactly like this, you're 100% right.
Yeah, it's got to be done right. Obviously, you know what I mean.
But nine times out of 10, it's not going to be done like this. And it's
obviously right. Obviously, we've learned that because we've had 9 times out of 10 Resident Evil movies, and not one of them done it right.
This is my point. You know what I mean? Like up until now, like this is the exception to the rule, right?
Yeah,
this is
100%.
This is the one that's working, so we gotta roll with it,
One interesting, like almost addition to the show that I don't remember, and Fred, you might even know more than me. If correct me if I'm wrong. The idea that Joel and Tess, I guess, had supplies stashed in different spots outside of the city. Like I know they had safe houses like around the city, but I don't think they ever had supplies or there was no stop off. They were like, yeah, we have stuff hidden just in case. Like,
I don't remember Joel ever mentioning
the smart addition, right? Because you would think people who go outside the city should be ready. I
don't think he's ever mentioned, hey, we're gonna go into the store because I buried supplies somewhere. I think it was throughout the game, it was just you scavenging.
You know, one thing I don't like that they changed from the games. So they if you notice, they both have the flashlight in their little like the book bag strap, but they never just turn it on and leave it there in the show. They take it out and they hold it around. In the game, you never did that. I just want them to, as a little visual cue to the game, just let them walk around with the flashlight on with their hands free. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Joel?
She did that when she climbed into the hole.
She had it on her chest. I thought she took it off and she got in the hole.
No. She turned it on, put it on her chest, and then jumped down into the hole.
Oh, I missed that part. What do you think about Joel hiding the machine gun? Hello?
What do you?
I don't remember that.
What are you
talking
about?
He hid the machine gun. He put the machine gun away instead of keeping it. He said there was no ammo or very little ammo out there. Were you happy with that or no?
I don't remember it.
I don't remember it at all.
Oh yeah, in the gas station, he's holding. I guess I don't know what kind of rifle it is because I'm not, a genius with guns. But as he gets some supplies out, he puts the gun away, and she says to him, like, "Why are you doing that?" And he goes, "There's not a lot of ammo out there anyway." I kind of feel like you're going to be fighting Fedra agents. You're going to find ammo for machine guns. They all had them.
Yeah, but I mean, like in any post-apocalyptic world, you always take the gun you can have easy access to ammo with.
Well, that's the one thing I will say. I'm waiting for the moment. I don't think it's going to happen, but where Joel has his book bag on, his bow and arrow on, like a sledgehammer or some sort of axe hanging off one side, a shotgun or something hanging off the other side, his handgun in his back belt, and then other supplies somewhere hidden on his body, just as another visual cue to the game. Because I always laugh in the video game when a protagonist has like 900 pounds of like weapons on them, and they can still crouch and move around, and it's not a big deal. Vault over small,
they're running and stuff. Yeah.
Another cool nod to the game was Ellie finding the pistol in the drawer at Bill's house. Yep. And then throwing it in her bag real quick. That's that was
good.
Nice little detail. There really is a lot of. I like seeing the pit of the people the soldiers just killed because they basically didn't have room in the quarantine zones. I mean, I feel like the show. Forget the games for a second. Just try to remove the games from your mind. The show is basically teaching everyone else how to build a world that feels like there's history in it, while also focusing on the characters. And they're all making rational decisions. You know what I mean? Right now, nothing feels out of place. And I hope that carries to the end, which I think it's going to. But
the only thing that I'm seeing that may provide problems later on is that they made it a 20-year time jump. Because like we talked about it, that it's not that long in the game, right?
Well, no, I'm pretty sure it is, but it jumps up to 2013. Like at the time, I think it was a 20.
It was like a 10-year. It was a 10-year time jump, right?
No, I was just playing again. It's 20 years. I'm pretty sure.
I don't remember. I don't remember it being that large of a jump, though.
Keep making your point. I'm going to double check.
Well, regardless, like the fact that Joel is 56, I think, and like that Bill was so old, and that's why they kind of killed him off. I think. Because it doesn't make sense for him to be 97 in a post-apocalyptic world and stuff. I think this could start. The 20 years seems a bit much, and I think it could start making them run into some problems as far as like realistically thinking about how this world works.
I don't know. I mean, of course, I don't know why it would be so hard.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small thing, but it could definitely present problems later on. You know what I mean? Because also the Bill thing to me, after especially watching,
the first game has a 20-year time jump, and then the second game is 5 years later. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So the second game, Joel's like 60s.
Yeah, I guess. Well, it's only 5 years later, so I guess if he's in his 50s in part one, maybe he's in his 56. Late 40s. I mean, early mid 50s in part two. I don't know.
He's 56 right now
in the show, right? I mean, I think he was around the same age. I do think he was around the same age in the games, but it's
Well,
obviously a video game, so
they could have made him
have unlimited stamina, climb as much as he wants, carry ladders and planks all over the place with 7,500 pounds of weapons and ammunition in his book bag, and crouch down, murder 17 people in a 20-minute time span. I mean,
this is where I was
do all
going.
kinds of things.
When you do it in a show, I feel like they should have shortened that time gap a little bit.
I don't disagree. I think that's why they keep focusing on his knuckles being bruised still after he beat the shit out of that guy in the first episode.
Yeah,
I think they're trying to show that, like, you just can't do that kind of stuff all the time like you do in the game. So it won't happen as much.
I mean, it's the only thing I can see like being a problem down the road for the show as far as like what they've set up so far as far as world building.
I mean, it's a good point, because think about later on when there's a moment where he's running from runners or clickers, and then I know we're gonna get a bloater at some point, so he's gonna have to contend with that. I mean, the toll on a regular person trying to fight off all that kind of shit.
Right.
I'm interested to see how they show,
especially if you're almost 60. And the fact that obviously they're not scared to deviate from the game. Why did they still go with that large of a time jump? So they should have shortened that up and made Joel younger.
Yeah, you put him in his 40s and it's a little more believable.
Yeah, I mean, just put him in his early 40s and you're good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, then it's a little bit more believable. Then when like these bigger moments happen, you don't feel like, dude, the guy's almost in the 60s and he's fighting bloater and this, that, and the other thing. And also, like with this episode specifically, right? So it seems to me, after doing a little bit of research on it, because I couldn't remember a lot of stuff about Bill's relationship with Frank and stuff, because I don't think they ever said outright that they were together.
No, he calls him his partner.
No.
Yeah, but apparently that was always it was like deeply implied, but never outright said.
Right.
And after seeing like an interview with what's the guy's the creator's name, Neil Druckmann.
Neil Druckmann. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It seems to me that this episode was basically what he wanted to originally put in the game and wasn't allowed to, and now he's got the ability to do it in this show, which kind of leads to my original point of just like this felt very like shoehorned into a bottle episode.
This is I mean, remember the first game was made at a different time, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Like I get that. I get like having that creativity to want to be able to put this into the show and stuff. I just feel like killing them off in the way that he did was a mistake going forward, but it is what it is. I mean, it was like we said, best acted episode yet. So absolute master.
Maybe when we're at the end of the season, maybe I'll change my mind. But right now I have no complaints. It's I think it's just so fresh in my mind too that I really there's no part of me that wants to complain about it. I feel like it's the fact that a video game adaptation is getting so much praise, not just for the adaptation aspects, but for the acting, the writing, cinematography. Yeah. Like people are already talking about Emmy nominations and stuff. It's like, there's no part of me that wants to say anything bad just because like it's just finally after
I get that
our entire life we finally are having real video game adaptations.
For a video game adaptation, this is perfect.
It's the best
considering than what we've ever gotten.
I mean, think about how high the bar is now after this. You know what I mean? The next video game adaptation we get has to somehow match this, and it's just going to be tough to do.
No, I mean,
speaking of which, I saw a headline. It was like, Xbox boss wants Halo to match the same creativity and quality as The Last of Us. I'm like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what?
Good luck.
It could. I feel like Halo has the foundation for it. But
it does.
You already started off on the wrong foot, and in order to fix it, you're going to have to basically scrap what you did and start over. Are they going to want to do that with all the money they spent on whatever they did already?
No.
I mean, we are getting a season 2, so like hopefully there's a
season 2 is probably halfway already filmed.
Yeah.
Are we really getting a season 2 of that fucking show?
Yeah, they announced season 2 before season 1 even aired.
They did great numbers, so they have no reason to not do a season 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Resident Evil effect. I mean, Resident Evil, the movies have been garbage. Every single one of them. Not one of them has been a good adaptation, a good movie. Yeah, maybe you could say they were fun action movies, but like people still went to see them. So you just keep making them. Halo's the same way. People saw it.
But the Halo show, like Fred, you just said it did great numbers, but like by what metric?
Just revenue and streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the streaming numbers are always like super inflated for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if it did the number. Like, streaming numbers are very, very hard to like gauge.
That's true, but just keep in mind the executives that are putting the money behind to make these shows. You know, if they say that there's enough there to make another season, then as far as we know, we got to take their word for it because they're not going to lose money.
Usually those metrics are put into it by like how many people sign up for Paramount based on the Halo show, right?
Yeah, but I would believe that a lot of people signed up for that.
I would believe a lot of people signed up for it. I don't think a lot of people were watching Halo after the third episode.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, that's not. You know, we'll find out. We'll find out when season 2 comes out. And if people don't sign up to watch season 2, then you know the first season was nobody watched.
Because Paramount as an app actually has a lot of really good stuff on it.
It's a solid app.
You know, they have Tulsa King and Mayor of Kingstown and all these other shows that are Yellowstone's now on there. So.
By the way, I started Mayor of Kingstown. Awesome.
Fucking amazing.
Not what I expected. I didn't know what to expect, but it was awesome, and it's a good show that me and the wife can watch together because it's that good.
It gets wild. I love it. Season 2 just started, and I'm fully.
I think I'm only like 2 episodes in, and she's off tomorrow and the day after, so we're probably gonna knock some more episodes out.
And I'll tell you right now, like especially with your wife in the profession, she's going to be very, very intrigued by the end of this.
Yep. I bet.
I have that on my list. That'll be because my wife and I just finished watching White Lotus season 1 and 2, which was very good. I don't really get all the hype of, people talking about award seasons and all that stuff. I don't really understand that, but overall the show was good though. Both seasons were good, and they got us hooked. I mean, I can't say they were bad shows at all. But we have a few shows. Kaleidoscope we have on the list. I'll throw Tulsa King on the list there.
Apparently, Kaleidoscope you can watch any episode as your starting episode. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I read that the White episode needs to be the final episode.
Yeah, White needs every other final. Yeah.
They did make a change for anyone who's thinking about it on Netflix. Instead of just calling the episodes by the color, there's the color, but then it also tells you how far away from the actual heist. It's a heist show for anyone who doesn't know. The episode is. So, for example, it might say the orange episode is 3 days before the heist. The red one is 1 day before the heist. Maybe the blue one is 5 days before the heist. And then, I read that you can literally just choose. Like when you go on Netflix, it'll change the order every time you sign in, and you can just watch it in whatever order. Not every time you sign in. The first time you sign in, it'll give you an order, and then you watch it in that order. There are though on Google there are recommendations for which order to watch it in. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go on Netflix. We're going to start from wherever it tells us to and watch the show.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of shows, new shows that we all want to watch. Segue. ScytheX is the king of the segue.
If you want to call me that.
We had a big day, a big day from the DC world, from our man James Gunn and Peter Safran. They announced the DC Studios Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. It's basically the first part or first chapter of their first saga or whatever, whatever term they might use.
It's the first half of the first chapter.
The first half.
He still has more Chapter 1 movies to.
I have the image up here on the screen that you guys should be able to see. Also, they basically gave us 5 movies, 5 shows. According to James Gunn, the goal is to release, once these start, 2 movies a year and 2 shows a year, and cap it at that. But what's interesting, we talked about this a little bit in the chat earlier today in our little private chat. Shazam is next. That movie still is part of the DCEU, and it leads directly into The Flash. James Gunn called The Flash one of the best movies he's ever seen and said it was beautiful and whatever. But by the end of that, we'll have a full reset on the DC world on screen. That's going to just reset everything, which we basically called. I think, Fred, you called it the moment they even said the Flash was getting a movie. So, it's nothing new for us, right? That movie leads into Blue Beetle, which apparently was so standalone that it just easily slides right into James Gunn's world. Just goes to show you how all over the place DCEU was before.
Yeah, but that makes sense, though.
No, it makes perfect sense. But then that leads into Aquaman.
which doesn't make sense.
And they're not being clear whether that Aquaman continues, Jason Momoa, whatever, so take those 4 movies and kind of put them in
what else
bubble.
Isn't clear? Sorry to cut in. You know what else isn't clear? That he's still in contact with Gal, and when we get to, you're gonna get to that.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You say it.
We get to Paradise Lost, which is a live action Wonder Woman show about Paradise Island. That is all happening before the existing Wonder Woman movies with Gal Gadot. So
even though the existing movies are erased,
right? So she's still canon, and that lore is still canon to the new DC. I don't know, man. It's still a goddamn mess. I didn't learn anything from this announcement.
Zuplex, you're the comic book guy, right? So I'm gonna go to you for some descriptions on a lot of these things. But before I do, I just want to say, I think I told you guys this earlier today too. It's like I want to be super excited, right? We finally have a plan. It's an 8 to 10 year plan. They talked about signing actors up for 8 to 10 years to make sure that they stay with the movies and their characters. He very specifically said that any animated things they do, the actors they hire, gaming, the actors they hire to play the characters in those mediums are going to be showing up in live action. And some of the live action actors will voice their characters in animated in a video game world.
Yeah,
they were very specific about the things like the Todd Phillips Joker, Matt Reeves Batman. They're going to be in the Elseworlds category, so they're in a different universe than what the main universe is.
Can we talk about that?
Well, we will in a second. Hold on.
Okay.
All that sound. I'm kind of laying down the foundation here. That sounds good, right? But my thing is, they literally said, "Oh, we're going to announce it before January is over." Then the last day of January comes, and they go 12 o'clock. We're going to announce it. 12:05, the announcement's over. There was no excitement, no fanfare, no
fanfare. Yeah.
I had to struggle to find this image, and thankfully, Scythe, you found it for me because I couldn't find a good image to use. If Marvel tells me Ant-Man's coming and then Captain America's coming, I have logos, I have pictures of characters, I have concept art, all kinds of stuff. So
you pretty much have casting decisions.
It's just
everything.
There's still a little bit of a kind of all right, last minute, let's get something together so we can say it. It still feels a little disjointed.
As cool as this announcement was that we got, I would not have been upset if you just held on to it a little longer to lock in maybe some actors or actresses and be able to give a legit presentation where we just got
100%.
a 4-minute YouTube video.
Just to put it in perspective, and then Zuplex. Hold on, wait. Before to put it in perspective, and then Zuplex, I'm going to come to you with some questions. Superman Legacy is the first Superman movie that James Gunn is doing, and he basically told us that it's not going to be an origin story, and we have a release date for it, July 11th, 2025. So we still have 2 years to wait before we get anything that's officially James Gunn DCU. Everything else before that we get in the DC world is still a part of a universe that is no longer going to matter. So there's
half of it no longer matters. The other half apparently does.
So there's still this disconnection, I feel like, But so Zuplex, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Number one, I don't think they had to have actors in place or directors in place for any of this stuff to do the announcement. I do agree that they should have done it with a little bit more fanfare because, look, we get an announcement from Marvel every year where Feige goes up there and goes, "This is our slate for the next movies." Doesn't give us any actors, doesn't give us any directors. He's just
no, he'll give actors. He'll mention
not always,
but
we didn't get any information about
the more recent. The more recent movies that are going to come out, for example, Civil War, right? That's the first movie on the slate. He'll announce the actors in that movie, but he won't announce anybody that's way down the line. But
he's way down the line, though. They're 2 years away.
Really, not when you're talking about the first half of your slate. I mean,
2 years away.
Half of the old DCEU is getting wiped out this year, and then
when has
you have the second half
actors for somebody that was 2 years away.
Let me put it in a different kind of perspective.
Brie Larson was going to be Miss
Captain
Marvel
for a long time. Even Chadwick Boseman we knew for a while.
Captain
before,
Marvel,
to put it in a little bit of a different light, I guess, is think back to when Zack Snyder announced his universe. He came out with Man of Steel. everyone loved that movie pretty universally. Everyone was kind of like, this is, you know, a much better Superman than we've ever seen. WB is like, all right, Zach, you're going to be the DC guy. When they announced what was coming, we knew Ben Affleck was going to be Batman. We knew who was going to play Alfred. We knew that part of the storyline was that Robin was killed. We didn't know who killed him, but we knew he was killed. We knew Gal Gadot was Wonder Woman. Like, he announced.
Yeah.
And so my point is, all the excitement we had when he showed Batman vs Superman on screen, our minds were blown. We were like, "Oh, this is going to be amazing." Yeah. And then he showed who was going to play those characters, and we were just like, "Oh, that's it."
We had already had Henry Cavill as Superman, so you knew he was going to be in the movie.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying Ben Affleck.
Batman vs Superman was already being filmed, so like we
knew Jason Momoa was going to be Aquaman at that time. Like, it's not like they built up this big announcement.
But those movies were like 6 months away from starting filming. They weren't years down the line.
No, but so I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Fred, but I think the point you're trying to make is hold on to the announcements until June this year.
Right.
Yeah, but
at that point, say
this. Normally, I would agree with that sentiment, but we needed a roadmap at some point, and I'm okay with them giving us the roadmap right now. Just like, all right, these are the movies that I'm and TV shows that I'm planning. So let's move from here. Now this is the stepping off point. So now we'll be getting more information as we get closer to these things now.
I guess if I'm being honest, we like we said earlier today in the chat, I feel like the last few months they should have been giving us little like hints and little moments and just silhouettes and like really building up the hype for this announcement. And maybe we wouldn't even be having this conversation about the
announcement. Like if this was an announcement at like Comic-Con or some sort of other like a DC fan expo or something along those lines.
I just got to point this out. Butter says we go from phases to chapters. Zuplex must be going nuts.
It's just more bullshit. That's all it is. Chapter 1 of the DC Studios. Here we go.
I thought you would actually appreciate it. No, I thought you would actually appreciate it being called a chapter rather than a phase.
Might call it volume 1. That would make more sense.
Let's get into a breakdown of some of these things. Very briefly, Superman Legacy. It's our first Superman movie. It's been confirmed that we're not going to get another origin story. This Superman has been around for a few years, and he's just trying to balance his alien side with his human side. Comes out July 11, 2025. Zuplex. How do you feel about that?
If Brainiac's not the villain of this goddamn movie, then I don't want to see it. Like
my follow-up question to that is, if you want Brainiac to be the villain of this movie, who do you think should be the villain of the overall? I mean, I'm going to call it a saga for now until they give us a new term.
It is called a saga. James Gunn called it that.
He did call it that? All right. So who's the overall villain for the saga? Because he alluded to all these movies are going to be a part of an overall story.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
listen, got the big.
If we're going to do that, it's got to be Darkseid, right?
Right. Finally,
like a real Darkseid, not whatever.
So wouldn't Brainiac though be basically as big of a threat as Darkseid?
I thought so. Yeah.
Like are you diminishing him by making him the bad guy for just one movie?
No. I mean, like, listen, for years, Brainiac was just a Superman villain. He wasn't like an overall DC villain who attacked the whole universe. He was a Superman villain. You know.
Scythe, what do you think about a Superman movie where we don't see the origin of Superman?
I'm glad we don't see the origin. I don't need to see the origin. I'm just not hyped for this movie because we already had a Superman, and if you're telling me that the DCEU actors are still somewhat canon, then why did we get rid of Henry Cavill? It just still doesn't make sense to me, and I don't want another Superman.
Universally loved. I just want to understand. Universally loved this Superman, and they won't bring him back. I just don't. And don't tell me he's too old. Sense. The guy looks like he's 16 still.
No.
But do we know that though?
Well, yeah.
Do we know what?
Yeah, Henry Cavill flat out said he's not coming back as Superman.
Yeah, he says that now until they back up the Brinks truck to him. Let's go.
Well, I think he wants to do it. I think he will do it.
Here's my
thing. He's being told.
Henry Cavill wants to do it.
The Superman project that Cavill was working on got scrapped.
But James Gunn flat out said. No, but James Gunn flat out said Henry Cavill wasn't fired as Superman.
He just
never
hired
as Superman.
Yeah,
exactly.
But so it means that means that he could be someone else, but it doesn't mean it means it's not going to be Superman.
James Gunn also said
this movie. James Gunn said that this is going to be a younger Superman. It's going to be a different story, and Henry Cavill is not involved. He's flat out said that.
I didn't see that. I don't know where
he said that around he said that around the Black Adam release when he was when it was known that he was in the cameo.
So what about? Let's go through. I guess we'll go through the movies first. I'm sorry. I guess we'll go through all just in order. We'll go right down one list. We have a Waller show coming out, which is, I guess, a sequel to the Peacemaker show. I don't really know that I need a whole show centered around Amanda Waller, but it's just my opinion. Scythe, what do you think about that?
I think it could be a cool show. She's I have like a love-hate for her because she's very annoying, but she's also Viola is also a great actress and plays the character well. So I think this show will work. I think it's going to be exciting and interesting, but at the same time, it's like every time something with a DC logo pops up, it's like Amanda Waller's in the corner, like, oh, I'm here, guys. You know, I'm in control of everything. It's like enough of Waller. Like, let's other characters, you know, have their moment and not have to rely on the Waller effect, I guess. But Zuplex, I'm curious what the show's about to be.
How well do you know the comics? Are there Waller? I don't know even if there are Waller specific comic books where she's the main protagonist.
It's mostly Suicide Squad because she's the main, like, she does pop up in like every other comic in some way. She's the leader of a black site. She's always the leader of a black site.
Right. There's always heroes, right?
If there's anything government involved, it's always Waller that's involved. What happened?
She's a leader of Argus, isn't it? Like this. Yeah,
at one point she's a leader of Argus. She's a leader of Task Force X. She's, in the New 52, I don't think she's the leader of Argus. Where they shift her over to Task Force X. But
I'm just trying to keep you on your toes, Fred.
Yeah, I'm trying to relax here.
Yeah.
Like a Waller show could be good. I mean, if it's in the vein of like Peacemaker and stuff like that, where it's just like a secret task force.
Yeah, I think that's what he said. It's gonna
it's a sequel. It's a follow-up to Peacemaker, basically.
It's gonna be very much in line with Peacemaker and have Peacemaker actors in it.
What I'm kind of curious to know, though, so like before we keep going, Superman Legacy, apparently James Gunn might direct that one. And he clearly has a hand in writing a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, he said he flat out wrote this Superman.
I just feel like
he's in the process of writing it.
I feel like the big thing with Kevin Feige, although there's two guys here instead of just one, is that Feige doesn't have to worry about writing it or directing it or like that. He just comes up with, I guess, like a general outline, and then he hires the right people to kind of make it come to life. I hope James Gunn isn't like burning himself out trying to do too much,
I don't think he is, and this is kind of what we expected of James Gunn when he got the role. He was coming into it as like the creative mind. He wasn't just, the producer on the back end. He was coming into it as, I can write these characters, no problem. I care about these characters. You want me leading these characters, and that's pretty much what he's doing. So I'm not shocked by it.
Yeah.
I expect in a Waller show, he's going to probably bring in a bunch of like weird out there Suicide Squad-esque characters to kind of surround her in this show. So I mean, it could be cool. I don't know if necessarily
I think it will be.
Waller show, but I do like Viola Davis. I think she's amazing.
Right.
So.
And she's great in that role. So then just going down the list, Scythe, you mentioned this before, Paradise Lost. For anyone who doesn't know, Paradise Lost is basically a Themyscira show. He described it as kind of a Game of Thrones-esque Themyscira show. So it's the same island that Wonder Woman comes from. And I guess we're gonna see how women, maybe the queen who raised Wonder Woman gets in power. I don't really know exactly what they're showing us. But
apparently this is all before the movies, so it's strictly on the island, and we get to see her being raised and whatever, I don't know, training, who knows.
More than likely ancient Themyscira.
Real quick, Butter says he'd rather see a Waller show than a movie, which I agree with. I don't think anyone wants to see a movie of hers. I don't know. The Themyscira show doesn't excite me that much. The idea that he's saying it's kind of going to be like a Game of Thrones style show in Themyscira, I feel like is just reaching for some sort of attention. I'm not that excited about it. You know what I mean? I don't like Wonder Woman that much.
But what I'm assuming the show is going to
be made by HBO though, so it could be
more than likely. The show is about the Themyscira. It's going to be about Themyscira, but it's going to be about the what's Wonder Woman's people called?
Oh, the Amazonians.
Amazonians.
The Amazonians. It's going to be the Amazonians probably kicking men off the island.
What's up, Fly Life?
More than likely, we're going to get the women being enslaved, rising up, taking over, taking out the men, taking control of the island, all that type of stuff. Probably a lot of Zeus, a lot of Hades, a lot of Ares, probably.
See, that's the part that gets me excited, though, because I love Greek mythology.
Yeah,
so that's,
all that stuff is probably going to be in the show. I think it is a good idea for a show if it's executed properly, but it could also wind up being really stupid.
Well, as we go through this list,
you don't need Wonder Woman for that show, right? Like it could be just based on like the original Themyscira and everything like that.
As we go through this list, I do got to say though, everything that they've announced, it feels very James Gunn.
Oh, 100%.
Besides Batman and Superman, none of the characters are like mainstream, hugely popular characters. Well, arguably hugely popular characters. It's definitely obscure characters that he's like, no, this is right up my alley. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so after Paradise Lost, I see we got listed here Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which is a movie, and it's her origin story. And the way he described it is we're gonna see kind of a jaded and kind of meaner Supergirl, not the cheery
I like that.
happy-go-lucky.
So from what I understand, it's based on Tom King's run.
Yep.
Tom King's
which is very recent, right?
Very recent and also very, very good. Probably one of the best runs of Supergirl ever. It follows her basically living on a piece of she's basically living on a piece of Krypton. Yeah, that was just after the decimation or whatever, and she lives most of her life there until she travels to Earth. And
I got to be honest.
So
the way I picture it, when because James Gunn mentioned that she basically, instead of being sent somewhere like Clark was, she just lives on a piece of Krypton that separated itself. I picture her laying on a piece of wood similar to what Rose laid on at the end of the Titanic, and just floating in space, and just watching as everyone on her planet gets killed.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an interesting concept to have a character like that. I didn't read those comics that you just mentioned. So,
I didn't read that either.
To have her be jaded and nasty,
very good. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Again, it's a good, interesting twist on the character. It's something that I feel like we haven't seen really before. So, that's a plus for me. I'm excited about that.
Absolutely.
Next on the list, and this is I remember growing up watching I watched these movies as a kid. Swamp Thing. Mm-hmm. It's a horror film.
This was the most exciting thing that he brought me.
I mean, this is James Gunn doing a horror film based off of Swamp Thing. They announced really no information. They said it's his origin. It's a dark origin for him.
What I like about this whole list in general is that half of this list is shit that they announced 10, 15 years ago that they never did.
Right. And now they're almost finally making good on the promises.
Yeah, and he thought that they were good enough ideas that he should be doing them. And Swamp Thing's definitely one of them. Swamp Thing 100% could be an amazing horror movie if it's done right. And I think James Gunn is the right guy to do it. I'm super fucking amped for this. If there was this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted James Gunn to do. Right. Superman, Legacy, whatever. That Waller show, fine. Give me a Swamp Thing movie. Give me a Swamp Thing horror movie. I'm 100% in for this. Let's go.
Speaking of things we want James Gunn to do, I'm going to basically on the right-hand side here, I'm going to start from the bottom and go up because these are also, speaking of things that are, very James Gunn. Creature Commandos, an animated series featuring Weasel is going to be in it. That was from his version of Suicide Squad. it's just nuts. I never heard of any of these characters. I never heard of
Me
the
neither.
Creature Commandos, but immediately he's like, I already wrote 7 episodes. To me, that's like how excited he was. He just
I think that's all the episodes. I think it's only 7 episodes.
Season 1 is 7 episodes, and they didn't obviously say if there's going
to.
be.
And I read somewhere today that it's going to go in and out of live action.
Yeah,
I read that too, and I know the voice actors are going to play the characters in real life.
Yeah, I don't think this show is going to go in and out of live action. I think it's going to be strictly animated, but these characters and the people that play them are going to be live action in other projects. You're going to see them kind of bouncing around.
An interesting fact about the show is that the Bride of Frankenstein is in it, and she's the main character.
Well, Frankenstein.
He's in it also, but the bride is the main character.
Yeah.
Which is
this is in the 40s, right? This is supposed to be in the 40s, World War II.
So yeah. Rick Flag Sr.'s in it. So Rick Flag from Suicide Squad, his dad, is in this one.
And we're also getting Robot Man, right?
Yep. It's just a group of characters I've never heard of before. I didn't know existed in the comic books. This screams Guardians of the Galaxy to me. So like, I'm looking forward to it. And then another movie that I'm very excited for after just kind of learning about this character is the Booster Gold. I'm sorry, the show, not a movie. Which, from what I understand, is a guy from the future that is a loser. So he comes back in time with future tech to basically become a hero and make people like him. Like that's again,
he tells everybody he's basically like
James
the world's
Gunn.
greatest hero from like 2065 or something like that. Like he's like the Superman of the future.
I mean, that's a story we have not seen before.
Oh, yeah.
Not heard of before.
So Booster Gold is what Legends of Tomorrow should have became.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. I mean, I could picture a character like that in the Legends of Tomorrow show.
They eventually brought him into Legends of Tomorrow in the last season, and they canceled the show after his debut episode.
See, I didn't watch in the last season.
No, I stopped watching after the first season. But
now we're getting to a movie that I'm very excited for. And you
Booster
guys
Gold, by the way, real quick
sorry.
before we move on, heavily suggests that Chris Pratt's going to be Booster Gold.
Really?
That would make a lot of sense.
Just based off of the image that you see on the screen here, I'm like, yeah, okay, I see it. Like,
Chris Pratt would be a 100% amazing Booster Gold because he's basically Star-Lord that time travels.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, there you go. He's going to stick with James Gunn then. That's good. It's clearly it was a match that worked before, so that's awesome. But now we got to get to the movie that I'm excited. And you guys can probably guess why I'm pumped for this movie.
I already know it. I knew it.
The Brave and the Bold. It's the official introduction of the Batman of the DCU, because Robert Pattinson's Batman is not going to be.
He's going to be the Elseworlds.
He's an Elseworlds Batman. And as far it sounds to me like they're going to do a trilogy. They're going to let Matt Reeves do his story, whatever he wanted to tell, and then I don't know if they're going to end it or what they're going to do at that point. They'll probably announce shit. But this is about a Batman who finds out he has a son who was trained to be an assassin. He takes his son on as his new Robin, Damian Wayne, and is now trying to basically reel him in so he doesn't murder people, but also like beats the shit out of people and puts him in the hospital. And then they've confirmed they're going to expand the Bat family. Which is like, I mean, I've been wanting this for so long.
I loved this announcement. Mainly because we're finally getting Robin back into live action.
Right.
And because they're going with Damian, that means Nightwing is already out there.
Yeah. They talked about it. So, that's a plan.
So we're going to get Nightwing at some point. Maybe we get Red Hood if he's around. I wish they started with maybe Drake and they kind of build up to the Damian story, but I'm okay with starting here, and I'm glad it's not another origin story. James Gunn is just, nope, we're already in the Bat family. Let's go. Hit the ground running.
This is basically, if I'm understanding this correctly, it's picking up from I don't remember who wrote it, but the Batman and Robin series that was in like about 5-10 years ago, where it was basically Bruce and Damian, and I think it's borrowing really, really heavy from that.
I love basically retelling that story.
Yeah, so I love that they're choosing that story to bring to the big screen. And you're right, like realistically, Nightwing should already be in this universe. Red Robin should already be in this universe, and Red Hood should already be in this universe. So
they so far have confirmed that Batgirl will be in this movie along with Robin, but he's very specifically said they're going to expand the Bat family. So yeah,
Tim Drake should be in this movie also. Like, I could see you keeping Nightwing out because he could be in Bloodhaven doing Nightwing shit, and then Red Hood could be with the Outsiders, possibly.
It's just about time. You know what I mean? I feel like it's about time that they expand past Batman, which we've been talking about that since the Robert Pattinson Batman movie came out. But I'm excited. I'm very amped for this. I think it's still like weird that they're going to have two Batmans at some point.
I hate it, man. I hate it.
You know what, though? The fact that he directly addressed it and they have a plan of having the Elseworlds movies and the regular DCU, like at least they're going to try and make it easy to understand what fits where. But I'm excited for this for sure. And just speaking of Batgirl, I read after all the announcements that Peter Safran was flat out asked why they didn't release the Batgirl movie that was basically finished. And he just said, he goes, essentially it was so bad that it would have hurt Batgirl as a character and ruined their plans for whatever they're going to do for this movie.
Amazing.
And I'm
That's
like,
amazing.
I just, how bad was that movie? Like, I want to see it.
I want to see it to see how bad it was.
I'm telling them right now, they need to make $90 million back, whatever it was. I forget how much they said they spent on it. Like, I will 100% guarantee I'd go to the theater if they released it, just because I need to experience that movie. I need to see it. You know what I mean?
Bro, if they release it on HBO Max and said it costs $2 and you had 2 million people watch this movie on HBO Max for a $2 price fee.
No, but like it's almost infamous, right? How bad, like the fact that they keep talking about how horrible this movie was. 100%, if you release it on HBO Max, you would break the internet with the amount of people that watch the movie on the weekend.
Especially because like the internet is so freaking weird that it has like a large backing to the movie now, and it's is taking on like the Snyder cut role where it's like, oh, release this Batgirl, and now like it's a major thing. So it would 100% do numbers.
Right.
We've never heard of a movie that bad where they were just like, nope.
Right.
Nah, it's one that was already filmed post-production, like ready to be released, and they were like, "No,
that's
this ain't it."
Right? It was 90% done. They screened it for, I guess, a bunch of people. Peter Safran was one of them, and he said that it was so like he didn't use these words, but it was so bad it would have ruined our future plans.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so what I'm thinking is that people wouldn't have wanted Batgirl ever again.
I have two thoughts.
Remember we were talking about it I said that like it's got to be so bad that the only way that they thought they were going to lose money on it was that it was going to corrupt the rest of the movies that they were putting out.
Yeah.
And that's how bad it really was.
I have two thoughts. One, how shitty do you have to feel as the actress who's Batgirl?
Like, you know what's funny? So it's funny you say
this movie was so bad. This version of Batgirl was so bad that
not just her though.
They wasted $90 million.
It's not just her, because Peter Safran, his exact words were something around like, there's a lot of great talent in front of the camera and behind the camera, and then he goes on to say, but the movie just wouldn't have performed, and it wasn't made for theaters, and it would have ruined our plans. So they made the right decision.
He was tiptoeing around saying it was garbage.
I can't. I really want to know how bad it was.
He's tiptoeing around saying
who is the director for this movie? Because he must feel like a piece of shit. Also,
I'll look it up because I can't remember. Hold on, Batgirl movie director. It wasn't it two of them? It was Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah. I fucking destroyed those names, so I apologize. But
I don't even know what you said.
Yeah. But like, you know, again, I think we've said this before. We're talking about a world where Ben Affleck's Daredevil came out, where Johnny Blaze, what's his name? Nick Cage's Ghost Rider came out.
But those were at times where those movies weren't that bad back then. Like looking back, how we look at
you're right. Look,
compared to what we've gotten.
We're talking about the WB that watched Halle Berry's Catwoman and said, "Oh yeah, release that to theaters.
Yeah,
it's going to be our next big
thing."
Make
a mistake twice. That's the problem.
Like Elektra, they did make the mistake twice. Elektra came out. Well, that wasn't WB, but still,
that was not WB.
That wasn't WB, but still, like like these movies, as bad as they were, you know, oh God, if there's a petition out there to release the Batgirl version movie, I will 100% sign it. I want to see it.
I want to see it.
Let's see. So moving past that, there's another James Gunn, clearly a James Gunn idea thrown in the mix here. The Authority, which Zuplex, I'm going to turn to you on this one because I have no idea what the Authority is.
Listen, I understand that James Gunn is the king of making teams of characters that no one's ever heard of relevant and a lot of fun and popularized. This is a mistake in my book.
Really?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
That's pretty bold, actually. Now I need to know. I need to know why.
The reason being because the Authority was based off of like the Wildcats run back in the 90s. It's basically The Boys, but without all the crazy shit, right? The team itself is basically in a doppelganger for the Justice League. Like you have a character that's like Superman, you have a character that's like Batman, you have characters that's like Hawkman. You have all these characters that are basically mirroring the Justice League, but you're also giving us a Superman movie, a Batman movie. So for you to give us the Authority, which is so closely resembling the Justice League in certain aspects, I think it's going to be a mistake because against your other, like it's like giving us, it's like DC giving us a Batman movie and then giving us like a Black Noir movie. Like, are you really going to care about the Black Noir movie when you have or giving us like a Homelander movie and then giving us like Superman?
That's Superman.
You know what I mean?
Interesting. That's an interesting take on it. I kind of felt like, to me, just looking at this image here, you got the Lanterns and the Authority and maybe I don't know about the Creature Commando. So I would say the Lantern and the Authority are like your space side of things. Same way Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy was like the space side. You have your Creature Commandos, your Booster Gold.
It's on Earth.
Oh, is it? Oh, then
yeah.
Well, there goes that. So then I don't know.
I
guess everything's
on space. I would agree. If it was in space, I'd agree with you. But he said it's going to be terrestrial, so it's going to be on Earth.
Yeah, he did say that.
So all right, so that might be the first L on the announcement.
I'm surprised by that because I watched a couple channels go over the announcement, and everyone was super hyped for the Authority. I don't really know much about them, so I didn't share their excitement.
Right.
But I was kind of curious what Zuplex's thoughts were on that, if he was going to be as hyped, and I'm pretty surprised by that answer.
I mean, my thing was like the Wildstorm comics didn't really ever like. There was a time in the 90s where comics became more about artwork and less about story.
Right.
And Wildstorm Comics was that company. It was helmed by Jim Lee and J. Scott Campbell and all these like amazing artists. Like some of the artwork in all Wildstorm comics is probably the best artwork in comics in general, right? But the stories were such trash. They were so bad. I don't see how you can make this good.
Okay.
Like I really want to get behind it, but the Authority being such a fucking ripoff of the Justice League, and then you're giving us Justice League characters. Like if you weren't doing a Superman movie and you weren't doing a Batman movie, I'd say, all right, maybe you can get away with it. But I don't see how he does all three at the same time.
So then moving on then from that, because clearly there might be a dumpster fire. The last thing that I'm pretty excited for.
I don't know. Well, I got to trust in James Gunn here. You know what I'm saying?
We should have said this in the beginning. I mean, everything announced here, we have our opinions to start, but we have, we're all going into it with an open mind because it's basically it's his DC world to fix. You know what I mean? Like we can't, it's not the DCU anymore, DCEU anymore. It's DCU. Yeah. So, but the Lanterns was a live action series. I'm torn on this. I'm a big fan.
I'm super excited. I'm super excited for this.
I just feel like, are they going to have a budget big enough to do it justice? Because visually, the Lanterns
seems like it
to look right. And I don't know that they're going to do that right.
From what I understand, this was pitched. This was one of the things I was talking about earlier. This has been in works at DC for like 15 years.
Well, but now
this was being worked on by Greg Berlanti, and
that's not his show. That's a different show. He still has that treatment to it.
Gunn and Peter told Berlanti, "We're not doing your Lantern show. We're doing ours," and that's pretty much how that went.
I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah, that's
kind of a good omen, because he probably approved the Batgirl movie.
This was a Lantern show. It was supposed to be originally. I think it was supposed to be a movie. It was supposed to be a buddy cop movie between Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan.
Hold on, you got the cops in your neighborhood.
Yeah, sorry. My town's on fire again.
If you can't tell, Zuplex lives next to a police car.
So this was supposed to be like a buddy cop space movie with Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart.
What he said was True Detective, which is amazing.
Yeah. Can you imagine
now it's
that?
still going to be like in the vein of True Detective, which is absolutely amazing.
I think my biggest concern is the visuals. You know, we already had a big budget movie with Ryan Reynolds, and they couldn't do the visuals right. Again, James Gunn knows what he's doing as far as making everything look right, and so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
So long ago, too, though, man. That was so long
and also, like, I feel like the visuals are going to be secondary to the storytelling,
which is what it should be. I mean,
so like from what I understand, they're putting the people that did the Watchmen show on this also.
They're the ones who wrote it. I think the Authority also is the ones who are basically writing.
Yeah,
the people who did the Watchmen are writing the shows for those two. So that's a good thing. That's a good sign, because the Watchmen show was great.
It's one of the
finally
projects
though, we're getting a new Green Lantern thing. I mean,
it's one of the projects that I'm most excited for from this whole slate.
I like the idea that instead of giving us just Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart, it's both. Yeah, and they're working together. Cool. Like that's a great way to start, again, to differentiate from what we got in the past.
And you're not getting a Lantern origin, or at least Hal Jordan's origin. They're
around. They're doing their thing. This is obviously going to take place. I guess it's in space, right? It's because it's the Lantern, so it could be anywhere.
Well, it's going to be on Earth also, because he called Earth their precinct. Like, so they're going to be.
So it'll be all over the place, probably a couple different planets, maybe.
Yep.
And
there's going to be other Lanterns in the show. It's not just going to be the two of them.
See, those are all good things. That's exactly what we need. Build out this universe.
Do you think they give David Ramsey a shot at being Jon Stewart, or are they just going to go a different direction?
I want them to.
I feel bad for him, because he was promised so much, and he's such a good actor. I really wanted him to be Jon Stewart, and
at the very least they could do is they should give him a cameo or a role, not even just a cameo, like an actual role in the show.
Nah, get rid of all that Berlanti crap. I'm over it.
No, but forget Berlanti. The John Diggle, is David Ramsey, I think is his name?
David Ramsey, yeah.
Like that actor, it's an example of an actor who wants to play a character so badly that if he did, he would do it justice.
Yeah.
So like, it's like, give him a shot.
There's other guys out there that can store. I'm okay.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but you don't have to look for him when you have it right there.
Right. I don't think he'd be good at it, to be honest with you. I don't think he's that good of an actor. I really don't. I really don't. Like, I mean, like,
you better watch out, because he'll fuck you up.
I'm sure he would, but at the end of the day, like, the Diggle character was kind of like whatever to me. Like, I didn't. Every time he came on screen, I wasn't like, oh man, he was amazing. Like, never really did it for me at all.
I loved him.
He was like the perfect sidekick to Green Arrow, man. That was awesome.
I just hate that they built up all these years to build up him being a Lantern. Then at the very end, he gets his little green box with the green glow, and then nothing. It's just a noise.
And they're still teasing it to this day. Like he'll pop in on a random Flash episode talking about the box and how he's like,
all those CW shows got trashed.
Well, I'm glad they're over, because
the final season starts in like 2 weeks of the Flash.
Are they actually airing the final season? I thought they were just going to kill it.
No, they're airing it. And what's his name's coming back as Green Arrow? Stephen Amell is making an appearance. One more appearance as the Green Arrow. He's behind the scenes right now, putting up videos.
Let me guess. Barry fucks with the timeline again.
Yes,
probably.
I don't know how you figured that out.
How did I figure that out? That's amazing. Like,
it's the Flash, man. What else is he gonna do?
You're like a genius, because nobody would have guessed that Barry would go, we can't mess with the timeline. I'll be right back. I gotta fix something. Like,
I would love it if When's the Flash movie out? Is it this year or is it next year?
Yeah, we got Shazam and then Flash is. Hold on, I'll look up.
I wish the Flash was first, man, because it would have been so great if like the Berlanti Flash ends when the movie kind of starts and it overlaps to Flashpoint and it just trickles down from there of like craziness.
Speaking of the Flash, though, you know what annoys me?
Why
didn't we get a trailer release? Two things about the Flash in going with the James Gunn and all the announcements today.
Yeah, we need to talk about Elseworlds.
Why didn't we get a new trailer release for anything? I know we have Shazam like last week, whatever, but this would have been the time to give us information on the Flash, real information. Also, what the hell is wrong with James Gunn and Peter Safran when they won't tell us for sure if Ezra Miller is going to continue to be the Flash? They won't say no. They won't say yes.
I think
they're scared to tell you that he's still the Flash, and they don't want to hear backlash yet.
I think they don't want to ruin the end of the movie.
But we all don't want him to be the Flash. Like
I know,
ruin the end of the movie.
Still, like that. Like, I don't think they want to turn around and say like, oh, he definitely won't be the Flash going out, because then everybody knows that he dies in the Flash.
He should die. All right, not in real life. Yeah. Obviously, I don't wish death in real life.
But I mean, like you guys are the ones always bitching about spoilers.
No, but that's a good spoiler.
That wouldn't be considered a spoiler.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be considered a spoiler. That would be considered confirmation.
Like I can just picture them being like, "Oh, he's definitely not going to be in." Fred's just sitting there like, "Oh, now I know he's going to die." See, they ruined it with spoilers. And
no, I would have been fine.
In this case, Fred,
I would have been totally fine.
I would have been okay. I would have been like, you know what? Send me the script.
He told me
I'll go see it if you let me know exactly what happens.
He told me that this movie is resetting everything, so I don't care if he's dying, or he's alive, or whatever the case is. I know he's not the Flash going forward because it resets. The fact that he's not saying that Ezra is not going to be the Flash anymore makes me worried that he's still the Flash. And James Gunn is so excited about this movie.
So now let's talk about that for a second, because we know we're getting the Pattinson Batman stuff in the Elseworlds. So maybe Ezra is still the Flash, but in the Zack Snyder universe.
Right, but I don't want to have any other movies in the Zack Snyder universe. I'm done with it. I'm over.
Well, I mean, just because he's the Flash in the Zack Snyder universe doesn't mean we have to ever have to visit the Zack Snyder universe again.
Yeah, right? I guess.
But
again, why are we so creepy about it?
Is it open for them later on in case they want to do some multiverse? Which, look, listen, DC Comics invented the multiverse in comics, right? They were the first ones. They did it way before Marvel did. Crisis on Infinite Earths, like they were always big on bringing in characters from different Earths, and the Earth 2 and Earth 3 and Earth 6. And blah blah blah. So
I want to see that as a movie series, by the way.
I know it was so awesome on the CW. I can only imagine how good it would be if it was done correctly in a movie.
But I think that's why they're being cagey about it, because more than likely you're gonna have Elseworlds, where we got Robert Pattinson's Batman universe, right? Where you're gonna have, we know that we're getting a Penguin, Professor Pig, and a Scarecrow show on HBO Max, as well as probably, I mean, you're out of your mind. Stop it. You don't think the Penguin show is going to be good?
The Penguin show is going to be amazing, but at the end of the day, I don't really give a shit about it anymore.
What is wrong with you guys? Like, you guys got to get over it.
It doesn't matter, bro.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter. It absolutely matters.
Batman trilogy is dead. It's out of my mind. I don't care.
All they have to do,
all they have to do
is say that Robert Pattinson is going to be the Batman in the DCU, and suddenly all those movies matter again, and I'm excited about it. But why do I have to get invested?
They matter because they're good.
What are you being invested for?
They matter because they're good. That's why they matter.
The Penguin show,
they add zero value to the overall story, so they don't matter.
Well, no, that's not 100% true. So they said that the Penguin show is going to directly lead into the Batman 2, Matt Reeves' Batman 2. No, in that sense, fine. But like
the shows and the movies for Matt Reeves are all connected, but it's not connected to Gunn.
Right.
It's not connected to Gunn.
I want to like Gunn stuff.
What do you mean? Who cares? We've all been waiting for years for this new vision of the DCU, because DC's been trash. So of course we care. And like, if all these movies don't matter to that new vision, then I don't care. Cancel if they canceled Batman 2 like Batgirl, I would not care because I know a new Batman's coming. It doesn't matter anymore.
Right. I agree.
You guys are stuck on everything has to connect in a shared universe.
I agree, Fred.
Why can't there be multiple shared universes?
Everyone is.
Here's my problem.
He's creating the universe.
Why can't there be multiple shared universes?
Because they haven't done one yet. Let them do one universe correctly.
Yes, technically they've done 3.
And they've all been garbage.
They didn't do any.
I mean, they did the Zack Snyder universe. That was a shared universe.
It was garbage.
That's still going to exist.
It's trash.
It was butchered to hell because he didn't even do half of it.
But they did do some. So
they did them, but they did them horribly.
And now we're getting the Batman Elseworlds, right? With Robert Pattinson's Batman. It's going to be its own shared universe, right? And as you said, Chris, the Penguin was your favorite part of the Batman movie. So why would you not be excited over a Penguin show?
Because it doesn't matter to me. I agree with Fred. It doesn't matter to me.
Dude, you guys are
to put it in perspective. Hold on.
It is what it is.
Perspective, though. Right now, they're on the same page, right? They're talking. They don't want to cross into each other's territories. They don't want to use characters, whatever. At some point, one of them is going to become bigger than the other. Let's say the Matt Reeves universe, the Elseworlds universe, performs better in theaters than James Gunn shit once Superman comes out and all that stuff. Some dumb Hollywood exec is going to go, well, I'd rather give him the money instead of you, when Matt Reeves wants to end it at a certain point and James Gunn wants to have a 10-year plan. I don't think it's a smart decision right now. I don't think it's a smart decision to be building out 2 separate universes when really it should be one singular focus. Prove to us you can do it, and then you can branch off and get a little excited.
But here's the thing. If it's all good shit, then what does it matter?
Here's the problem. Marvel was focused on one universe. And they killed it, right? Universally, everyone, for the most part, loves just about every movie that came out. Once Marvel started to branch off and have multiple shows and movies and storylines, and like you don't know what universe matches to what and all that kind of stuff, collectively, everyone's been complaining about Phase 4. It's so disjointed. I feel like we're starting off in Phase 4.
We're already disjointed.
Of the DC world, right? I think that's my biggest problem
because they're letting you. Because what Marvel didn't do was let us know where everything is placed.
That is a good step in the right direction.
What James Gunn did was gave us a heads up that these other movies don't matter to shit. They're just there.
I think
they don't matter to James Gunn's universe.
I think what James Gunn said to
everything
us in much nicer
DC
terms. In much nicer terms, what he said to us is, "Look, guys, I didn't win every battle I tried to fight, so we have to deal with Elseworlds. It is what it is." That's basically what he said to us.
Yeah, what he said was, "I tried to kill a Batman movie that outperformed the last 3 Batman movies." And
no, he didn't try to kill it. I bet you he tried to absorb it into his own show.
And Warner Brothers was like, "Why the fuck would we do that when we have a hit on our hands?"
Yeah, no. Instead, Warner Brothers wants to make a sequel to the Joker and make it a musical.
Yeah.
Again,
another movie that I give 0 shits about is another Joker.
I care so little. Like I don't know how much.
First Joker made them a shit ton of money and was nominated for Best Picture and was nominated for Best Picture. Right. It was a fantastic movie in itself.
Right.
Why would they not want to make a sequel to that?
Because the smart decision would be to let the one movie stand on its own. And then just move forward and be like, look, we know what we're doing. Clearly, we made this movie. Let us move forward.
So when the Joker
not every movie needs a sequel, but
I agree. Not every movie needs a sequel, but at the same point, it's like it was not only was it a financial success, but it was a critically acclaimed success too because it got nominated for a Best Picture. So why would you not expand on that universe? You know what I'm saying?
Why would you take that director and that writer and have him make another character? Have him focus on something.
Because that director and writer wants to do a sequel to the Joker,
and it's a musical.
Who cares? Maybe it's going to be amazing. Maybe it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be terrible.
You know what I'm saying? We don't know. We don't know until we see it.
Be bad.
Everyone thought Wonder Woman 2 was going to be good.
Shared universe. I can't deal with it. I don't want anything to do with it. You guys are ridiculous when it comes to it.
It's not even that that shared universe stuff. It's just like I said before, like focus, narrow it down, give us a singular focus, show us you could do it.
But here's the thing: James Gunn doesn't have to focus on Matt Reeves' Batman because Matt Reeves is focused on Matt Reeves' Batman.
No, but he does though because they need to make sure.
No, he doesn't.
They already said they don't want to cross over.
He was
they don't want to.
And he was
there's going to be a fight.
Saying, "Hey, listen, that's Elseworlds." So he's already laid out the floor plan to us. That's Elseworlds. Whatever happens over there doesn't affect over here.
You're missing the point. At some point, they don't want to cross paths, and what that means is, at some point, Matt Reeves is going to be like, "Well, I want to use Clayface," and James Gunn's going to go, "Well, no. 20 years from now, I'm going to use Clayface," and it's going to be a fight.
Gunn shouldn't make a Batman movie.
No, if he doesn't want to cross paths, then James Gunn shouldn't make a Batman movie.
Well, I will say,
so ass backwards though. If anything, you kick Matt Reeves to the curb and say, "Hey, it's my vision," because he's the leader of DC. What are you not understanding?
If he's the leader of DC,
everybody cares.
Like, hey, Matt Reeves, you got to find a way to bring you into the fold because you already have figured out how to do Batman right. Because you got a hit on your hands.
I will say that if the plan is to do Brave and the Bold, and maybe at the end of that movie, Batman dies or something like that, and like going forward, we're focused on the Bat family and not Bruce Wayne, and then you have Matt Reeves Batman as like a sole Batman. Okay, we'll wait and see, right? That's just a guess. But if we're gonna have to deal with two Batmen, I feel like it's
not
silly.
interested.
It's silly. I feel like it's silly.
Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
You say it like we're in the minority when in fact you're the minority in this thing.
A lot of people
at the end of the day, I don't care if everything's connected or not, as long as we get good movies, right? So if we get why do they have to? Why do they have to?
I feel like the only other
what has to be done at this point.
Our lives, for the first 2/3 of our lives, we didn't have shared universes in movies.
And they were a mess. They were a mess.
No. Now, I'm not talking about comic book movies. I'm talking about movies in general, right? We didn't have shared universes in movies, and we could enjoy movies for good, all right? Yeah. We enjoyed trilogy for being good, right? Didn't have to connect to 19 other movies with phases and chapters and sagas and everything like that. Why can't we have that again? Why does everything have to
move backwards? Why do we want that? Why would we want that?
Why are we moving backwards?
Oh, it works.
We have it now, right? Fred and I are basically saying the same thing. Why move backwards? Like my thing is we didn't know how good something could be with the shared universe.
Just because the shared universe is great doesn't mean that a non-shared universe has to be bad.
I don't disagree, but if that's the case, then leave Matt Reeves' Batman that everyone universally thinks is phenomenal alone. Leave Todd Phillips' Joker that everyone thinks was phenomenal alone, and just pivot to here. Why do they have to go back to that well and build a shared universe? To your point,
it's proven.
Why are we going back to build a shared universe if everyone can be handle
it? And those
are building a shared universe. For
Peter Gunn's shared universe is not a proven moneymaker yet.
But take Todd Phillips and Matt Reeves, bring them over to the DCU, and utilize them to make movies that we are actually a part of the shared universe instead of going backwards.
Peter Gunn didn't want them.
I don't think Matt Reeves wanted. And if that's the case, then I don't know about you say Matt Reeves take a fucking hike at that point. Like,
or change your character's name to Darkman and make your own movie.
But that's like kicking out, you got a proven winner here. Why would you kick out a proven winner?
Then he can, if he can make
the proven winner is the MCU of a shared universe. That's
I just feel like the MCU showed us, like, again, I think we said this in the past. I don't know if we said it on the podcast or not, but Endgame, the moment with all the portals and Endgame, like the amount of excitement and like just emotion and whatever in that scene only happens when you have 20 years or 10 years of movies behind you.
Agreed.
So,
and the MCU has been the only one that's been able to do it right.
I know, but so my point is, we experienced that, right? We experienced it. The first time you had sex, did you go afterwards? Like, well, I went 18 years of my life without having sex, so I can just go back to that. No, you were like, that was pretty nice. I kind of want to do that again. This is what we're feeling right now. We had that big O during Avengers Endgame, and we want to have more of those O's, and we haven't had them in a while, and we're struggling here. You know what I'm saying?
With new characters that we all want to learn more about and grow in this universe.
So just remember, I just compared the MCU to an orgasm. That's how desperate I am for another universe.
It's valid though. It's valid.
I'm just saying we could have both. I don't see why we can't have both.
That's a clip. That's a clip for TikTok comparing the MCU to an orgasm. Listen, we can't have both. And you know what? We might love everything that comes out. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying Batman 2 is gonna be a shit movie because I loved the first one and I like this character. I just don't.
All right, so that's my point right there.
Care about him anymore.
If you love the movie that much, like I did, right? I mean, you were the minority in here as far as we love the movie because
you changed John. You switched.
Yeah, we switched John over. But we love the movie, right?
Yep.
Why would we not care about the sequel? I care a lot about the sequel
because it no longer matters. It no longer matters.
Right, we're focused on what's coming soon
because I want to see a badass fucking Batman movie. I love Batman so much. Like, I've been following Batman. It's my number one favorite superhero of all time. I've got more Batman comics, more Batman shit than anything else that I own. I want to see 9 different versions of Batman. Show me every version of Batman you possibly can. I don't care if they're in a shared universe because I love the character that much. I don't care if
problem though
shared universe or not.
I think the risk that they're taking, and maybe it'll pay off, but is like Matt Reeves' Batman 2 comes out, and let's say it's just like it's basically the Dark Knight of the Matt Reeves world, and it's just unbelievable, blows everything out of the water. Now James Gunn has to somehow compete with Batman with his own Batman. Yeah, and maybe that knocks his Batman out of it, and we kind of don't give a shit about James Gunn Batman. That could derail his entire 8 to 10 year plan.
Which I do think is smart that James Gunn's bringing in Damian Wayne.
Well, this is why I'm saying movie. If the plan is to not focus on Batman so much and focus on the family, then it makes a little more sense. They would have 2 Batmen. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I think you run a risk, especially if you're sharing characters like that, of kind of alienating one side versus the other when one's really good and one maybe not. I feel like you're asking for problems, and I kind of want them to just focus on one shared universe and prove to us that the plan's going to work and you're in good hands and all that stuff. But we have to give it time, I guess, right? We can. It's all guesses. So
I mean, we also don't know that Batman movie from James Gunn will be coming out in fucking 10 years from now. Like,
well, that's true. And it could also be maybe modeling after the 1960s.
May completely finish his trilogy before that Batman movie even comes out.
Yeah. Well.
So we also don't know about that either. So it's all just like we're taking guesses. We're throwing parts of the dartboard.
Yeah.
But to say you don't care about
I'm saying I don't care about the direction of it anymore because it means literally nothing to the overall story that's being built on Gunn's side.
And just to put in perspective, like always, Fred and I are saying we don't care, but when the trailer comes out, we're going to react to it. When the movie comes out, we're going to go see it, and we're going to do a deep dive on it.
And I'm probably going to love it. But
we're probably going to love it, right?
I'm going to walk out of there and be like, I wish that was our Batman going forward, and he's not, so it's stupid.
Yeah. I don't care about anything. This is
the beauty of the internet, right? We can just have a different opinion every time.
I think I'm just like in shared universe overload at this point, where like everything has to be a fucking shared universe just because Marvel did it so well, and I'm just like I just want to see. I want to go back to seeing good movies.
I don't disagree with that, but I feel like if something should be in a shared universe, it really should be the DC universe. And
I mean, I get with comic book movies it should be a shared universe, but at the end of the day, like, I don't know. You go back to even the original comic book movies that we were getting, like Spider-Man wasn't in a shared universe. Like those Sam Raimi Spider-Mans.
Right. X-Men wasn't.
X-Men wasn't. And I mean, X-Men was like hit or miss with their movies, but for the most part,
they were their own universe.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't in a universe because it was just X-Men movies. It was just,
Well, they tried. That the goal was to have the Wolverine, then Magneto, then Gambit, and all kinds of stuff, like expand that portion of it.
Yeah.
But then they decided to release the Wolverine with unfinished graphics. I mean, real smart Fox.
But they didn't connect all these things. They were just out there, and they were either good or they were bad or whatever.
Again, to my point, we all got. We all did some shit before we had sex. Then we had sex and was like, yeah, I'm not turning back. It's the same thing with these movies. We tried to love these movies as bad as they could be. X-Men 1 to this day doesn't really hold up well. But when it came out, you better believe I was like, that fucking movie's amazing. then the MCU was like, well, look, here's Iron Man. And it looks like he's really wearing an Iron Man suit and flying in space, basically. And I was like, fuck, man, the X-Men movies suck compared to this. So like, it's all relative, right? We have a lot more experience under our belts. So, we want what we want. I'm not going to change our minds. I think we covered everything, boys. I think we covered everything. Did we miss any of the DC announcements? I don't think so.
I think that was everything.
I feel like that was everything.
One unique thing was zero mention of Black Adam.
Oh, that was going to be the final. The final question was going to be just kind of what they didn't talk about. There's no talk of Black Adam, which we kind of all expected that. There's no talk of a team up movie, and I'm not saying just Justice League, just in general. There's no talk of some sort of big event movie at the end of a chapter or saga or whatever.
What was it? The Authority is supposed to be their team up movie.
I guess the Authority and the Creature Commandos are team up properties. The Authority, I guess, is the team up movie. But I guess the assumption is that they're going to build towards the Justice League, and there's no mention of that. Understandably, there's no mention of an overarching villain for all these movies. I guess they'll wait for that. We'll discover
because we're only at the first half of this chapter. Right. So he's still gonna announce more shit.
I'm curious
at the end of the year or next year or whatever.
Did he say when he was gonna announce more? Huh? Did he say when he would announce more? I don't think so.
No, I would imagine we get more information around Comic-Con or their DC fandom event at the end of the year. Maybe we'll get more then. But I doubt we hear anything till one of those events.
I feel like we have to wrap it up here because Carmine's video feed is getting all fucked up.
Yours was getting fucked up earlier too, Bill.
Yeah, yours was skipping also.
Was it? I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
I think Fred's right. Probably around Comic-Con, we'll probably get some more bigger announcements. I do know that he is slowly killing off every other DC property besides Matt Reeves stuff and the Joker stuff. All the TV stuff is going away. Like Titans is going away. Doom Patrol is going away.
That's smart though.
But he has the guy from Doom Patrol doing Batman, right?
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. He's got Doom people Patrol, coming in
between Doom Patrol and
talent,
Titans.
Basically.
Yeah, Doom Patrol was the better show between Doom Patrol and Titans. I couldn't stand that fucking Titans show, so that thing was straight trash. But
all right, boys.
I would like to see it end properly though. Because I think they're in the middle of season 4 right now, and
sure,
I hope it's just not canceled and they can at least finish it off.
We really got to see what happens to Hawk and Dove.
Tell us how you really feel.
I can't stand that show so much, man.
Why can't we have a standalone TV show?
Like I said, as long as they're good. As long as they're good, that's not good.
What I was disappointed in, because I feel like I feel like Gunn was gonna give us more characters that weren't A-list, and I'm surprised we didn't hear anything about Green Arrow, because that's never been a movie. He's never even seen in Justice League. He was never hinted at. We've never seen him other than the CW show. So I would love.
We still may get him though.
Yeah, we may get him because we only got a portion of the announcement. But
I feel like I wish they announced what the villains of each show or each movie was going to be too, just to give us a little bit more of an idea of what we're kind of waiting.
I guess you have to go to those comics that he references and see who their villains were.
Yeah.
But
anyway, we hit over almost an hour and 40 minutes, boys. That's I feel like we went over. I can't think of anything we missed, honestly. Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. Let us know on Facebook, wherever you follow us, what you guys thought of the big DC announcements. There was a ton of stuff that came out. Keep watching Last of Us with us. We're going to keep talking about it each episode. And keep an eye out. We got some comic videos coming out from Zuplex. Scythe, remind me, is MVP this weekend or next weekend?
MVP is this weekend.
This weekend, we got a new episode of MVP, Multiversal
Definitely
podcast.
Got some gaming news to go over.
A ton, actually. Yeah, I actually saw some stuff. I figured I'd leave it off of here because I knew we were going to be going a while. So excuse me, there will be some big news there. Like and subscribe. Let us know if there's anything in particular you'd like to know our opinions about. Let us know. If you just want us to fight each other about something, that's cool too. And keep an eye out for all the wrestling stuff. There was a ton of wrestling stuff that happened this weekend, and you can catch all the live videos on our YouTube and
we're
our
officially
live streams.
on the road to WrestleMania.
Officially in the road to WrestleMania. So thanks, boys. Thanks for yelling at each other for an hour and a half, and we'll see you guys next week.
Later.
Later.